you need help counting? Just kidding.
Good evening, everyone. We are here for a special presentation pre-board meeting. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the staff to tell us about this beautiful artwork.
Thank you so much. Good evening, President Adair, board members, Dr. Dixon, and our Columbus City School members here present. This year, for the first time, students of all ability levels participated in the Columbus City School Summer Experience and were able to work with some of our new community partners. One of these partners was the Super Art League, who worked with our students on several projects targeting agency and collaboration. The project they are here to present today is the Beehive Sculpture, and we can move to the next slide. We are so proud of this piece of art because it includes the works and talents of every one of our students that joined us in our summer program. Super Art League embraced our students as inspiring, talented individuals. Where some may have seen challenges, they certainly saw the strengths and ability. Their message is always positive and uplifting and encouraging of our students, and we're so proud to have them as a partner. We want to especially thank Super Art League leaders, Jeanette Jones-Ball, James Kindler, and Heidi Madsen. And of course, we want to thank our dedicated summer experience teachers and intervention specialists who worked with our students and really dedicated themselves to our new programs this summer. And last but certainly not least, to our students and their caregivers who continue to entrust us with their children's education and growth. It is our privilege to continue to support your students. And with that, I'd like to welcome up Heidi from Super Art League to say a few words.
Hello, I'm Heidi Madsen. I'm the Chief Performance Officer with the Super Art League.
I'm James Kindler. I'm the Chief Idea Officer.
And I'm JJ. I am the Chief Artistic Officer.
And we are the Super Art League, a league of super artists integrating visual art and performance art to teach kids self-confidence and leadership skills. And everything that we produce with our community partners is based in teamwork, friendship, and community. So just two more things about the sculpture before you watch the video, which says it all. We're really proud of the fact that all the students participated. And the way we do our community sculptures is gives every student the ability to show up as their authentic selves through art. And secondly, if you all look at the sculpture, you will see your reflection in the wings, which shows that everyone can see themselves in teamwork, friendship, and community, and that this work moves beyond the organization, beyond the board, beyond the Board of Education, the schools, and into the community and changing the world through art, one student at a time, together. So thank you, Dr. Dixon and the Board of Education for this amazing opportunity. And also we want to thank Nikki Nelson and the special education team. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you.
Friendship, teamwork, and community, that is what the Super Art League, based in Franklinton, is striving to achieve with this 8-foot wooden sculpture. Made up of 400 mini murals representing honeycombs painted by Columbus City School students in the Summer Experience program.
Each one of these hexagons is a portrait by one individual.
You give them a paint and a canvas and the brush, tell them to paint whatever they're thinking of. They don't have to sit down and sketch it out and plan it all out. They just paint. And that's what this is here. 400 mini pieces of art that are priceless to us.
James Kindler, Heidi Madsen, and Jeanette Jones-Ball are the masterminds behind the Beehive Sculpture. The idea about bees in a hive came from a book Franklin Park Conservatory was featuring, and the idea grew from there. But all three agree that it's the students that make this piece of artwork come to life and have a special meaning.
Queen Bedazzle, she takes care of the hive. And so she represents the learning. She is the learning. That is what keeps us all together. This is where we're going together.
The 13 worker bees are the 13 classes representing the teachers that are working with the kids to bring up the next level.
Because these represent students of all abilities. And every challenge we have in life makes us who we are. And again, it's really important that this beehive is a symbol of we're all have the same value. And to see it all like here today, to put it together, I feel like every time I touch any of these pieces, I'm truly hugging each artist that's a part of this.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll get this. Thank you, Ryan.
Board members, let's go up and take a closer look before our board meeting. Do we have to wait for technology? I have to wait for us to appear on the screen. We are, okay. All right, good evening, everyone. This is President Adair. I am calling our regular board business meeting on this September 21st to order. May we please have the roll?
Yes, President Adair,
Present.
Vice President Reyes,
Here.
Board Member Beckerly,
Present.
Board Member Brown,
Here.
Board Member Cole, Dr. Pierce,
Present.
and Board Member Ragland.
Here.
You got a quorum?
Thank you so much. Our first item is to appoint a treasurer pro temp because our treasurer is out, and I believe Board Member Beckerly has that motion.
I would like to move to appoint Ramona Reyes to serve as treasurer pro tempore.
Second.
Please call the roll.
President Adair,
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Dr. Pierce,
Yes.
Mr. Ragland,
Yes.
and Vice President Reyes.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much. Board members, on our agenda tonight, we do not have any public comment on agenda items. We are expecting no report from the superintendent. We have a report from the internal auditor and the treasurer's office. We have our consent agenda. We have 4 individuals here for public comment on non-agenda items. Then we will go into executive session and adjourn. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
A motion to approve the agenda.
For second.
Second.
Any comments or additions to the agenda? Okay, without objection, the agenda is adopted. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move down into item 5, even though we have no executive report from the superintendent. Let me say hello to you this evening, Madam Superintendent.
Yes, hello. How is everyone doing?
Good.
And we have Dr. James here with us tonight.
Hello, Dr. James.
Welcome.
Okay, we are gonna go ahead and move over to the internal auditor's office. Mr. O'Connor?
Good evening, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, members of the board. The Audit and Accountability Committee met on September 2nd and reviewed the following items. The A&A Committee charter was revised to align with district goals, guardrails, and values, and the most current Institute of Internal Auditors best practices regarding audit committee charters. Next item was the Office of Internal Audit enlisted Schneider Downs IT Risk Advisory Services to complete an IT risk assessment of the district, and they presented a high-level overview of that report. Ms. Vierney, the district CIO, provided a technology update as it related to school readiness. Areas covered were student and teacher devices, internet access, the status of long-term CCS technology plan, and IT risk mitigation strategies. Mr. Trevino, the Director of Capital Improvements, provided an overview of Operation Fix-It projects to date. Mr. Barnes, the district's General Counsel, presented the compliance in which his office participates and monitors for the district. Mr. Scienckowski, Executive Director of Specialty Audits, presented information relating to the fiscal year 21 fraud, waste, and abuse hotline activity. And the internal audit activity and dashboard report was presented to the committee. One final item, there is an Audit and Accountability Committee meeting this Thursday, September 23rd at 3:30 in this room here at 3700 South High Street. That concludes our report. I'll be willing to take any questions.
Thank you for that report. Any questions for the Internal Auditor's Office? Board Member Ragland?
Yes, thank you, and thank you, Kevin, for your diligent work. I want to just take this time to thank the staff and the administration and your partnership in putting on that meeting the other day. We had some very good presentations, a lot of hefty information, as you guys have seen in your packet. I encourage you all to join us this Thursday for the Audit and Accountability Committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Thank you for that report.
Thank you.
We'll go ahead and move to the Treasurer's Office. Mr. Gooding?
All right. Thank you very much. I'll try to do this justice in Stan's absence. Not trying to replace Stan, just filling in for him this evening. Tonight we're going to keep this. We're going to keep following Stan's change to the financial report based on the information and the feedback from the work with AJ Crable and trying to do this. So we've following along with this presentation, this is the abbreviated version. For any more detailed info that folks would like, what we did, we changed a little bit. If you'll see in board docs, we attached a link to the Finance and Appropriation Committee that was last Wednesday for if you need some reading material and need some help going to sleep at night, it's all there. If you know anyone would like to follow up on that one. And of course, the clicker just went blank. There we go. Okay. Reconnecting here. Oh, somebody clicked for me. All right, there we go. So what you'll see, this is a combination of July and August. The highlights here year to date. Revenues are below plan by 16 million. Expenditures are below plan by 42 million. And the reasoning for this is the introduction of the new state fair school funding plan. That's what's driving this. So now that we've moved to a funding plan where it's funding the students where they attend, the deductions for community schools, scholarships, things like that, that used to be obviously a revenue for the district, but also a deduction or an expense, those are now removed from that piece. So what you're gonna see is when we come back and when Stan presents the 5-year forecast to the board for approval in November, this is all gonna be trued up, if you will. So you'll see those adjustments then, but that's what's driving these variances right now that we're dealing with. So as we mentioned, you know, the bullet points here, it highlights that as well. The state aid piece, that accounts for 35 million of this variance that's below plan. Again, it's the change in the funding formula. But we had good news, and it was a timing piece here, that the property tax allocation, we had projected that to come in September. We actually received it in August, so we just got it earlier, and it's just a timing issue. You're gonna see that variance in September's report when we planned for it, it wasn't there. There's gonna be a variance there, but it's gonna balance out, and because we got it just a month early. Expenditures are below 42 million. Again, the community school, the vouchers, 33 million below plan. That's all tied to the fair school funding piece where we had those and as an expense, we don't anymore. What we will be bringing back is when we do the 5-year forecast, we're also going to bring back a change to the amended appropriation because at that time we budgeted for those expenses. Well, now that we don't have those, we can remove those from our appropriation resolution. So we'll come back, time that, and bring it all back together as one package and make those adjustments to our appropriations when we do the forecast piece. Personnel, we are below plan, 12.6 million. We've got new staff that are on board, but those expenses, those new staff didn't come on and aren't hitting our payroll until September. So that's where we're gonna start to catch that up. That variance is gonna decrease over time as we catch up with that piece. The non-personnel, even though it's 4.5 million above plan, we're not concerned with that because of the appropriation limitations that we have in. The internal controls are there to restrict those from going over. So this is just a timing issue that you'll see flatten out as we progress through the fiscal year. There we go, somebody is on top of that for me, thank you. This is just a little bit to show the change in the state aid funding formula. On the left, you'll see what it looked like last year in the old plan in FY21. The foundation formula funding at the top, for those that does look a little far away, was just over $342.6 million that we received. And under the new plan, we're receiving just over 130.4 million. So there's the change in that where the students are being funded for. The total foundation formula at the bottom, once you take all those additional aid items, in FY21 it was 368 million, now it's 156 million. The next slide will show some of the changes. On the left-hand side, what I want to draw your attention to in the grayed out area, those are the items that were deductions that we refer to or expenses. For community schools in FY21, it was 169.7 million that we spent in community school. Those are no longer going to hit our books. STEM school transfers in the amount of 3.8 million, and the scholarship transfer in the amount of 38.9 million. Those were expenses on our books last year. Those are not going to be expenses on our books this year, so that's the change there. The next slide will just show the difference, the net at the bottom. In FY21, because this plan was supposed to be, it was going to true up and zero out. It was 155.5 million in FY21 this year. is 155.3 million, so very, very close. It's actually almost unchanged, if you will. The difference is $384,290. It's pretty close when you look at the grand scheme of those pieces. But again, as new data is updated, we come back with the 5-year forecast and approve that in November, you're going to see this all adjusted, and moving forward, the plan's going to look different. The next slide will just show what the difference from FY21 to 22 was that I just mentioned, that $784,000 difference there. And with that, in keeping with the new format of the presentation, that's all we've got. If there's any questions you have.
Thank you so much. Are there questions? Board Member Beckerly?
Can you go back to the slide where you had the net, the two boxes that were the net fiscal year 21 and fiscal year 22? Back one more, although that one would have done too.
This one, or do you want to go one more?
No, that's perfect.
Okay.
So I actually watched FAC, so this is not like, this has been percolating for a while. I'm not just shooting from the hip here. This has been, is this telling us that with the new funding formula, we essentially ended up neutral?
Using the old data. So once we get the new data from the filters in through the formula, so that's the piece that we're working on now, and we've not put those into the plan yet, so we're going to see that in November because there may be some changes to that. So it's not going to, the idea was using the same data that existed last year. It was to even out, net zero as close as it could, and it's essentially unchanged. Once we know what the students are, because at that point, we didn't know what the enrollment was going to be and where kids were, once school opened. So that's the data that's going to go into this formula, so you are going to see some changes with that.
Because my understanding was the new funding formula increased our per student
Yes, it did.
funding.
But enrollment is critical.
But it's affected by enrollment, and these are gross, these aren't net.
Right, right.
So really, to see that increase would have to go to a per capita comparison. Not that I need to see it now, but I just want to make sure I understand it.
Right, yeah, and it's a timing issue of when that data is coming in and getting fed into the formula. So that's the piece that we're working on now, and you'll see that again in the new forecast that we do in November.
Okay.
Additional questions? Chair of the Finance Committee, any comments?
Thank you, Madam President. Good to see you all. No comments other than there's some good news at least, and again, that these are funds that are at least going to be with us and increase just slightly by 2023. And my brain is, okay, so that's correct. So 2023, we expect to see maybe a 12.6 overall billion, we'll see an increased investment in our 2023 numbers. That'll just go up just slightly. But we're closing that gap. We're finding level equity. I feel like this is an awesome, at least to begin with, an awesome plan to help stabilize and equitably fund. I just want to make sure that we're beating the drum constantly as a district, Madam President and board member colleagues, to ensure that we're sustaining this beyond in future biennial budgets. I'll continue to beat that drum.
Okay. I do have one other quick question.
Board Member Beckerly?
I also saw during FAC that there was a presentation that Catherine Moser did on the ESSER funding, and I loved everything about it. But I am anxious to see those macro numbers allocated to what categories they're spending on. We're still talking about how much we're spending in total, and then we have bullets listing how much we're spending. So I really think, we need to see the allocations to each item, category of spending, so we can track what's working, what isn't, and how much we're spending.
And
So I'm looking forward to that.
And I was seeing if Ms. Moser was here, but she's not. So we can provide that feedback to her because we can go back and tweak. That was the first time we've made that presentation at FAC, and we have a schedule. I think there's 3 more meetings throughout the year to do that.
Yes.
So obviously that feedback's great because we want to make sure that we're getting the information to folks that they need. We can look at, because right now there's 11 allowable uses for those ESSER funds. We could even look at maybe kind of breaking out a pie chart that shows what that is. That might get to what you're looking for.
Maybe. Yeah, the pie chart would help. I guess for example, one of them is, we're hiring literacy specialists. How many literacy specialists? Where are they working? And then have we seen improvements? You know, are they allocated to the right places? You know, do we, you know, are the literacy scores going up? You know, just that we're managing it, not just on a macro basis.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's that cross tie, right, between finance, academic, to make sure we're getting that return on investment. So we've talked about that, more connection for the board on that. Any other questions or comments?
No, just one piece, and following up with Board Member Cole, you know, with this new fair school funding formula, there's a lot of pieces to it that's being phased in over time, and one of the things, and Eric was great to, you know, to chime back behind me, is that, you know, in FY22, there isn't anything for, if folks remember, the old DPEIA, or the Disadvantaged Pupil Impact Aid, which then changed to poverty-based assistance, and it just, you know, we've now back to DPIA. That's coming in FY23, so that's part of that phase-in piece. There's going to be a lot of pieces that we're moving. You know, we would love to, and I think we talked about it at FAC, we'd love for it all to be phased in 100% year one, but we know that the reality of it was that there wasn't enough money at the state level to do it. So we're dealing with the reality that this is going to be phased in over time, but hopefully we see this going in the right direction, and then it's a good plan. We just need to make sure it's funded well and funded into the future for us.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you so much for presenting.
You're welcome.
All right. Go ahead and go into our consent agenda. So this evening, our consent agenda consists of items 10.1 to 24.7. Are there any items board members would like to remove for separate consideration? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move approval.
Is there a second? It's been moved and approved. Any items that would like to be discussed? Board Member Ragland.
Yes, I'd like for us to discuss item 15.2.
Okay, item 15.2 is authority to purchase bottled water from Friends Service Company Incorporated, doing business as Friends Office.
Yes, thank you. So this company has had a recurring contract with the district over the last 3 years concerning cleaning supplies. The initial year of this contract, there were some discrepancies between their use of an LEDE vendor to secure the contract and whether or not the LEDE vendor was actually secured and actually performed the work of the contract. Unfortunately for the vendor, the state canceled their EDGE certification as well as their MBE certification because of the issues regarding our contract with them and the Friends organization. That contract went on for 3 years, and it ended, I believe, with legislation that we passed earlier in this year. We've got another contract here for $2 million where there's 33% LEDE participation with an African-American company out of Pickerington. My question to the administration is regarding what we have in place as far as safeguards are concerned to ensure that the practice that got the LEDE vendor in the past, really kind of in trouble with the state of Ohio. What practices, what safeguards do we have in place to ensure that this is not happening with this particular contract? And, I'd like to have some semblance that our LEDE vendors are not being used as pass-throughs in order for prime companies to get business with the district. And, this is very troubling for me because, the LEDE vendor in this case, one of the previous case, really suffered a material loss while the prime contractor continued to get business with the district. And it's a fairness issue for me, and I'd like to make sure that we're not engaging in a practice that causes LEDE vendors to be used as pass-throughs and at the same time discourages LEDE vendors who would otherwise bid on contracts as primes from doing so because you've got a majority company that can use this and then outbid them. And so I've had extensive discussions with some of the folks in the administration on this, and I'd just like to hear their response to some of my concerns.
Okay. Thank you, Board Member Ragland. We have Maurice Odom who's ready to respond. Maurice?
Thank you, Dr. Dixon. To President Dare, to Board Member Ragland, the company you speak of, Friends, and the sub-LED vendor you speak of, those issues that took place with the sub-vendor took place prior to doing business with the district and Friends doing business with the district. The business that the vendor Friends had with the sub, the LED vendor were performing the duties that was expected in the agreement in year one. And then in year two, the LED vendor could not perform those duties because they stated they was not in a position capable of performing the delivery service portion they were doing. That was outside of the custodial contract. The LED vendor was the sole vendor for the custodial contract. The portion that the LED vendor was working with Friends on was on the office supply. So with that being said, this vendor and what we do is also any LED vendor or sub vendor is those payments go through our B2G Now system where it shows when the prime pays the vendor and also it shows the check number that is being paid. Also, the sub vendor is able to respond back if there's any issues of their payment as well. So we're able to track it through that process.
So I guess my question, thank you, Madam President. My question is, what are the safeguards that the state has in place that cause for the LED vendor in the previous case to be stripped of their EDGE certification, stripped of their MBE certification, but allows for a prime to continue in those examples that you've given here?
So I can't really speak for the state, but I will share the situation you're speaking of was, again, prior to doing business with Columbus City Schools. When a vendor comes to Columbus City School as a LED vendor, there is documentation that they certify that goes through our outreach program and through a third party to certify the vendor as a LED vendor. And in the situation you speak of, that vendor that you're speaking of went through that process, had been reinstated through the state. So they were already, they were LED vendor. The state program is an MBE EDGE program. Ours is based on a local economic disadvantage enterprise, which is based on within Franklin County.
Are there any other questions on 15.2? Okay, thank you, Mr. Olam. Are there any other items in the consent agenda board member would like to comment on? Okay, seeing none, please call the roll.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce?
Yes.
Mr. Ragland?
Yes, with the exception of 15.2, on which I vote no.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you so much. We will now move into item 25, which is public comment on non-agenda items. We have 4 individuals here to address the board, some virtually, 2 virtually and 2 in person. The first individual is Lakeisha Jefferson. Topic, transportation stops as it relates to sexual predators. Action, she would like the board to readdress the policy. So we'll just wait for her to come on the line with Board Liaison Nichols.
President Dare, the speaker's on the line.
Okay, you have 4 minutes to address the board. You may begin.
Greetings, President Adair, Vice President Reyes, Superintendent Dr. Dixon, and members of the board. As she mentioned, I'm Lakeisha Jefferson. I'm an alumni of the district as well as a community advocate in the 43227 area. And I definitely wanted to put this back before the board as far as the transportation policy as it relates to sexual offender precautions. I learned that the policy currently states that bus stops cannot be directly in front of the premises or across the street from a known address of a sexual offender. I got an alert last Thursday, which made me reach out to the district as well as neighboring districts, Bexley and Reynoldsburg as well, which is a unique situation for us, being that we're in Columbus City. They're not really up against a lot of the issues that we are here in our district. But with that said, I got an alert in the 43227 area, as I do have surrounding alerts that kind of alert us as to, again, where they're situated and where our kids being dropped off in the close proximity of bus stops. I contacted the community collaborator and found out that there was a bus stop, both elementary and high school, 3 doors down. So the sexual offender, he's a 43-year-old male that was convicted of rape, sexual motivation, and for bus stops to be anywhere, whether it's 2 doors down, 3 doors down, I think that's something that, again, with the challenges that we're trying to navigate through the pandemic, is kind of put that back on our radar, especially when we are in a more heightened sense of safety, right? Our safety caps are on, and we are at a more heightened level as we're trying to navigate through the pandemic, but we should also look at all facets of safety and ensure that if safety is the number one priority, because again, that's something that is cascaded on the outgoing message, on the transportation, when you're holding hours and hours and in on the line. If safety is the number one priority, this is something that we need to sit down with other community organizations to understand. You can leverage civic associations. I know that we're moving away from resource officers, but being able to leverage them and just making sure that parents, the affected parents, are notified. Whatever we can do to utilize our community partners. Again, we don't want the district to feel like this is undertaking is just something that the district, because we know that you all have a lot on your plate with initiatives, but being able to leverage that as the community to push this forward is to see what this looks like from an analytical perspective. Is that my time?
You actually have another minute. Are you finished?
Okay, so yeah, so because again, it's just, and then to understanding with the bus driver shortage, I know that there is a lot. When it rains, it pours. I had the opportunity to speak with Collegio and other collaborators that we realized that there were just 15 bus drivers that quit. Most of it is because I actually had a pulse check with a few of my colleagues that just the unrealistic expectations of overlapping route assignments. Bus drivers can't be 2 places at one time. And being able to have that empathy as parents to be able to understand and not be on 100 when they pull up with our kids late. There's a lot of things that we need to factor in, because one of the things that I kind of raised awareness on one of the parents that were kind of going off on the bus driver is that, hey, do you know that there's a sexual predator that lives 5 doors down? Like, we need to really channel our energy and see how we can really come together, restore the village, and protect our kids. And if safety is the number one priority, this is something that I feel that should definitely not slip off your radar as far as working this into this more heightened safety awareness, maybe leveraging
Thank you so much, Ms. Jefferson. Thank you so much. You have brought some very important comments to the board. The administration, I saw, was feverishly taking notes, and we will have someone get back with you and then also share information publicly with any outcomes that the administration has. It's certainly extremely important issue that you've brought, so thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. The next speaker will be Cassandra Clark. Topic, CCS COVID protocol and policy. Action requested. I would like the board to implement a policy where students have assignments where students must be socially distanced. We'll wait for Board Liaison Nichols to come back with the caller.
President Adair, the speaker is on the line.
Thank you so much. Ms. Clark, you have 4 minutes to address the board. You may begin.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks for your time for me to speak on COVID-19 protocol and procedures. As a parent and citizen of Ohio, I am concerned about the protocol and procedures you have in place for our children, staff, and public. Columbus Public Schools aren't being closed after positive cases, and the social distancing has been relaxed from 6 feet to 3 feet now that the Delta variant is here. Teachers have had classroom assignments that are not social distance, and there's no social distancing during class changes in the hallways. It's also dangerous when staff are maskless, when children are entering, when children are boarding and entering school buses and buildings. The vaccines doesn't fully protect you from getting COVID-19, as well as children are not fully vaccinated as well because they are not at the age limit to be vaccinated. What I would like to see with the Columbus Public School Board is make some changes in their procedures and protocol that will keep all children, staff, and public safe. First, I would like to have a 24-hour school closing to deep clean all surfaces in the building after a positive case. Second, I would like to go back to 6 feet social distancing in all classrooms, hallways, and etc., lunch and all. Third, I would like all staff should have a mask on when children enter and exit school buses, buildings, or any enclosed area. I would also like to see the concern and the value of my child's health and our children's health and their futures. And that is all.
Thank you so much, Ms. Clark, for sharing that information with us. We certainly value your thoughts, and we are extremely concerned about, obviously, the COVID and protocols. I will have a member of our administration get back with you about your specific concerns. But for the public that's watching, please visit the website. We have a lot of information there and a new COVID dashboard. So your concerns are our concerns, and we definitely appreciate you coming and sharing those with us this evening. Our next speaker, who's here in person, we have President Lois Carson. Topic, OPSI workers. And action, I want the board to value our work. President Carson. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Member President Adair, Vice President Reyes, and board members and administrators and guests. I am here tonight to offer some appreciation for the more than 605 bus drivers who safely get our students to school and back home again every day. The national bus driver shortage is impacting our school district. We all know that. It's really tough to be a bus driver right now, and I just want to make sure we acknowledge them and the important role that they play in the education of our kids, as well as the bus aides on the bus. Our drivers show up in the dark. They make sure the buses are safe before every run. They pick up as many as up to 65 students and manage the noise, the disruption, the upset administrators, the upset parents, you name it, they tackle it just in one bus route. But they get through the route and they get to their destination. Our drivers pass strict certification requirements, and they have to keep up with the safety training and keep an excellent driver record in order to keep being a bus driver. It takes someone special to drive a bus route. That's not a fact, that is a fact. They gotta be special to drive a bus route. It's a lot of responsibility for one person to have 65 kids behind their back. It's not for everybody. You have to really love what you do. But our transportation staff in Columbus, they're very special people. They take their responsibility serious. They take care of our kids. They buy food. They buy hats and gloves. They know who's homeless when the school administrator doesn't know it, because they see them get out of a car that's not moving, and they know they're sleeping in that car. They do what's needed. Make sure there's hat and gloves. They do more than just drive a bus. They represent our school district. They are the faces of our district. So I'm here to honor these people. Our students see the first thing in the morning, and guess what? They're the last thing they see in the evening. Our bus drivers, our child care attendants, and our intervention aides. I ask you, the board, I ask CCS staff members and the community, give them some love and encouragement as they literally navigate this driver shortage. It's throughout the country. The new transportation system we have here and all the other obstacles they work to overcome every day to keep your children, my children, our children all safe, and we do the best that we can to get them to and from school on time. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Columbus City bus drivers, intervention aides, and child care attendants. Thank you to the entire transportation team. You may not hear that word enough. Thank you. But without transportation, we wouldn't have Columbus City Schools, because we make or break you. We get them here, we take them home. We do deliver your babies, and you need us, and we ask you to learn to appreciate us and value the work that we all do on a daily basis. That's the only reason I'm here tonight, is to say thank you, thank you, thank you to 605 drivers, almost 90 intervention aid and child care attendants. And believe it or not, I'm even giving hats and kudos to the administration team and transportation, who's kicking tail every day to reroute kids, to do what's needed to get Columbus City school students safely to school. Thank you.
Thank you, President Carson, and thank you to our transportation team. Obviously, this is such a challenging time for everyone, and President Carson is right. Every day you step up, you deal with a lot, and you are appreciated. And we will say it more, President Carson, because we do value and respect the whole transportation team and everyone that gets our children to school. And she's right. Without them, we don't have school. And so it is critical. So thank you, President Carson, for coming to remind us about that. Those are powerful words. Yep. Our next and last speaker is John Kazmar. Topic, COVID action. I want the board to take action. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, you have 4 minutes to address the board.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate this. This is kind of a new thing for me. I'm with Valera. We have serious concerns regarding COVID in the school districts, and as a parent as well. Our company has the state-of-the-art technology approved by NASA, NASA used and certified in the space shuttles, as well as in the Pentagon, as well as in Cleveland Clinic, Cincinnati Reds. Our technology will wipe out COVID within 3 minutes in the air and on the surface, okay? And within 7 hours in your buildings. It is certified by the FDA, CDC, okay? And it's also one of 75 items that is actually in the NASA Space Technology Hall of Fame, and it's ranked number 7. This technology just came out about 2 years ago, okay? And the reason I'm here is, like every other concerned person and parent, family, business owner, okay? We need to do something. We're just now getting it into this region, letting people be aware. I'm working with the bid right now for Westerville City Schools. We're also working with Springfield. Genoa have already used our products as well. We do a lot of work with restaurants as well as convalescent centers, nursing homes, etc. We're meeting with the restaurant chain Skyline Chili this week putting in all their restaurants. Everybody has a concern, okay? And this issue is not getting any better, it seems like. All the different variants keep coming up. Well, the nice thing about our technology, it'll wipe them all out, including mold, mildew, bacteria. What it does, it has a certain state-of-the-art technology called ActivePure. It's a honeycomb process in the machine, and that will draw the air in, but it also, when it comes out, it actually emits a hydrogen peroxide in the air, like when you have your popcorn. You put your popcorn in, almost instantly you're smelling popcorn, right? Okay, this is the same concept. It releases the gases into the air. It attacks the viruses and bacteria in the air within seconds. Within 3 minutes, it disintegrates it, okay? And so what happens is, like these little masks, all of the scrubbing and the spraying, frankly, it's not necessary. Our product line is certified with a 99.99% effective rate. That's pretty strong, wouldn't you agree? Okay, so what I'm making you aware, what I'd like to do is make you all aware, this is available. It's here, it's now. And our company can help you. We can work with the school district. We can tell you the machines are not big. This is like a picture of one of the machines. It covers 2,000 square feet. And the machine is basically about this big and that wide. Okay, so it's not very big, like 24 by 24. Okay, we can also work with the duct units in the air systems. Okay, so my goal here tonight was to bring this to your attention, obviously. Okay, we want to do and help the young people, the staff, okay, to be safe and healthier in the school districts. We do have the answer, okay, and it does work, and it's guaranteed to work. And with the technology that we have, no one in the world has the technology except our company. It's proprietary with NASA. So we would hope that you guys would, ladies and gentlemen, would consider this and an opportunity, give me a call, and we would happy to come out and see what we can do to bless your school.
Thank you so much for those comments. We'll have members of our administrative team, especially those around operations, get in touch with you, and you can discuss anything further with them.
And I can leave with some brochures and my business cards for each one of you.
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you. That will end public comment at this time.
I think
No.
board member.
We're not doing that. Okay, that will end public comment at this time. We are actually going to go into executive session now.
Can I ask a,
Board Member Reyes, please go ahead with the motion.
I move that the Board of Education recess into executive session per Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22 G4, to prepare for, conduct, or review negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Cole?
Yes.
Dr. Pierce? Mr. Ragland?
yes.
Vice President Reyes?
Yes.
President Adair?
Yes.
Ms. Beckerly?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. We will now adjourn into executive session and come back to public session to close our meeting out. For those of you not sticking around, it was great to see you, and have a wonderful evening. We're in a recess right now and going into executive session into the next room, board members.
I know. I was like, We have 4 meetings already, folks.